there's two stories I think that need to be illuminated, because I think they reflect where things started and how things even continue today. And the first one is I think that was the summer of '85. We hired Paul to go to Europe to shoot features, and because I didn't want to go, I wanted to play golf all summer. So we hired Paul to go, and you became great friends with a lot of those guys over there, including the late, great Pelle Lindbergh, right?
Yeah. Well, I got a great story on Pelle, and I hope you guys have time for it. But one of the guys that I went over
he's trying
to
to produce again. He's trying to produce with that. I hope you get. This is a podcast, Paul.
Oh yeah, right. We can go all night. But no, one of the guys I got to know really well just by visiting his place over in Europe was Jari Curry as well. And before I tell the Pelle Lindbergh story, I mean, one of the cool things about when you're, and you know this, Darren, when you're doing interviews during the hockey season, the players are sometimes short or don't have enough time. It's hard to get them. You don't always get the good stuff because they're playing hockey. But when you do the interviews in the summer, back at their home turf, they are so much more relaxed and so much more easy to talk to, and you get so much great stuff. And you also get to know the players. So that's for me, that one special summer. I got to know a lot of the NHL guys personally because you go to their homes, you meet their wives, you meet their kids, you see their parents. So that was great. But the Pelle Lindbergh story was, and I'll shorten it because it's a long one, but Pelle and I were the same age and became fast friends. I'd never met him until I saw him at his place in Stockholm. So we would go out for a few nights at the famous, it's still famous. I was actually just there in May when I was in Stockholm, Cafe Opera. So we'd have a couple of crazy nights. When you walk into Cafe Opera, which is the hottest nightclub in Stockholm, the seas parted because you're with Pelle Lindbergh. Like, he was the superstar of that time in Sweden. So you didn't have to wait in line. So we hung out a lot. And then I did the interview with him. And he had a boat, so I wanted to do the interview on his boat. And so I asked him about 30 or 40 questions. And I'm not sure why I did this, but because he's so young, he's only 26 at that time, 26 or 27. But the last question I asked Pelle was, I said, how would you like to be remembered? And of course he answered it. But, that's a question I should ask somebody who was 38, not somebody who was 26. But for some reason, I asked him that question. And he answered it. And then, so all the interviews that I've done with players in Finland and Sweden were over. But I have 3 or 4 weeks that I don't have to, this is before hockey season. So I have some spare time to do some traveling. So I said to Pelle, I want to go down to Greece and just be a single guy and have some fun. Can I leave all the tapes with you? Because when I come back in a couple of weeks, I got to fly out of Stockholm to go back home to Canada. He said, no problem. So I left the tapes at his apartment where he was sharing with his girlfriend, Kirsten, at that time, who by the way, was like a world champion surfer, and who won some titles in the US. She was a Swedish girl, but so off I go to Greece. We won't talk about those stories. It was a lot of fun. And I come back to Stockholm, and I get back late afternoon. I'm flying out the next morning, 8 a.m. back to Canada. And So I'm going to meet Pelle for dinner. I think it's just going to be a nice, casual, quiet night because I'm tired from Greece the whole bit, and just going to hang with Pelle and kind of, he's been my fast friend now, and so we go to a restaurant that Kirsten was also a waitress at to try to make some extra money, and of course we have some Swedish meatballs, and then now it's about 6 o'clock, and he says, "Let's go. We're going to a party," and I was so tired, I just wanted to go to bed. And so he takes me back down to his boat. One of his buddies is on the boat, and another one of his buddies who's drummed for ABBA on occasion is on the boat. So there's 4 of us, and we're going to this party, an outdoor party on one of the islands in the archipelago. And now it's 7 o'clock at night. I'm just worried about, I have a flight at 8 o'clock in the morning. And so off we go on the boat, and Pelle, Pelle had a thing about speed that ultimately, is what did him in. But he's on this speedboat and he's starting to goof around. And next thing you know, he breaks his steering column. And now we're in the middle of the water, and he can't steer. So me and the other 2 guys were paddles on the back, and Pelle would speed up and slow down. And we're trying to, I think he's going to turn around and take us back. No, we are going to the party. And then we get into the little islands, and he wants to stop somewhere. and he stops at a cool little cottage housey thing. And he says, "I want to see if my buddy's here." And we hop off the boat to go see his buddy. He knocks on the door, and a woman comes, and his buddy's not there. And so his buddy was Bjorn Borg. And so we went to Bjorn Borg's place, but Bjorn wasn't there. So I just remember going around the back, and there were tennis courts in the back. That's the one thing I remember. So anyways, we hop back on the boat, and we go to this party, and we pull up against steering, and we hop off the pier. And as soon as you hop off, there's a guy in a black tuxedo with white gloves, and they hand you a metal bowl and a bottle of schnapps. And the metal bowl you got to fill up with crayfish. So you're walking to the party with a bowl of crayfish and a bottle of schnapps, and it's a happening place. It's kind of like a bit of a country club atmosphere. Meanwhile, he told somebody to fix the boat. And so we partied up there, and the schnapps were deadly. And in about an hour or 2 hours, the other two guys go back to the boat, pass out. One guy actually threw up. And then I'm now with Pelle, and we're socializing. But I got to go because I'm seeing 5 people when I'm only looking at one. And Pelle's still going strong. And now I'm worried about I'm going to miss my flight. And so so I go back to the boat. So now the 3 guys are sleeping. About an hour later, I hear the boat starting up, and it's about 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I go up top, and it's Pelle, and he has a friend with him. And so I go, "Are we going to make it?" "Yeah, no problem." I go, "What about the boat?" "Oh, I got it fixed. Don't worry." So he just speeds through the water in darkness, and we pull into the harbor, and it's starting to get light now, and leaves his buddy sleeping on the boat. Tells the girl to hop in the car with us. She was a friend of a friend. And he drives me to the apartment. I run upstairs, get my tapes, run back down, get in the car, through to the airport. And now it's 15 minutes to the flight, and say goodbye to Pelle, love you, and all that stuff. And I check in. I realized that they didn't ask for your passport right off the bat like they do now. My passport's in my luggage. And so the woman goes, "I need your passport." But I said, "You just checked in my luggage." So then we have to go down through security to see the luggage coming around, get my bag, get the passport, go back up. Now, meanwhile, I'm not in good shape. And I'd wore a nice white sweater to the party that now has crayfish stains all down the middle. And because I got on the plane late, I'm in a middle seat, and basically not in very good shape. So that was my last night, with Pelle. And then unfortunately, so that would have been August, and unfortunately, November 11th of that year, 1985, he passed away in a car accident. And so that was a tough time for me personally because because I got to know him. But the backstory to that, and John will support this, is that answer to that question went everywhere worldwide. Yeah. And the features that we shot over there, we were selling to other networks and clearly paid for the whole trip. But I'll never forget, him answering that last question.
Were you mic'd when you asked the question?
I wasn't mic'd, but you would have heard me asking. I still have the master tapes. Have the master tapes. Now, whether it works or not, I don't know, because they've been sitting in a box for since 1985. But
I'm not sure 40-year-old videotape will play anywhere anyway. So.
Yeah. So that's one of the European stars.
And the other one is something I think that we're all very proud of. Was the lead up to the NHL players going to play at the Olympics, and the whole concept of how to unveil the national team, the Olympic NHL team, and a decision between what we did at Hockey Night in Canada, what Hockey Canada wanted to do. And so because Paul had such a great relationship with the people of Hockey Canada, Paul got assigned to do that game, but quite frankly, had to have a little bit of inside knowledge in order to make sure that we prepared to unveil the team on a Saturday night in November in Ottawa on the ice, right?
Yeah, so that was a funny story, and to John's point, the Hockey Canada piece, and when I started doing international hockey with TSN back in 1990, and then the World Juniors in '92, as I mentioned earlier, in Fussen, Germany, and then the '92 Worlds in Prague. So getting to know the Hockey Canada people, really well, because we work so closely with them. and in particular Bob Nicholson, who for a number of years was the president of Hockey Canada. And so the mission was, okay, we just can't, if we're going to try to do a slick presentation. And by the way, this was before the NHL game that night. There was a half an hour show to unveil Canada's first Olympic team in forever, that was going to go to the Nagano Olympics in 1998. And so
I remember this night like yesterday, watching it.
Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah. And so how do you do that? So we worked on a few ideas about how to unveil the team and, young kids coming out in jerseys and all that stuff. But what was so important at that time was the code of secrecy. And obviously the coaching staff and management of Hockey Canada knew, they were still making last minute decisions about who's going to make that team, but they were the ones with the inside information. And if you remember, it was relentless. Reporters Canada wide, everybody wanted the scoop. Who's making the team. And I used to get people I didn't even know phone me. Hey, can you tell me? I'm like, I can't tell you. Number one, I don't know. And part of the thing that Bob Nicholson and I worked on at that time was give me four teams. So give me an A team, B team, C team, and D team. One of those teams is the team. And then I would go back to CBC working with our editors and our production staff there. And we would do video packs of all the A team, the B team, the C team, and the D team. And I didn't even know which team was going to get announced. And that was my relationship with Bob about the secrecy of it. And I said, well, Bob, I don't really need to know until, honestly, just a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes before the announcement. You just need to tell me what is it, the A team, B team, C team, or D team? And then I could convey that to our crew, and we would roll the right announcement, right? And so he did that. He told me it was the B team, and it was so hectic and so nerve-wracking at that time. And I was saying this story earlier that so it's the B team, but I haven't told anybody in the TV truck because I wanted to maintain the secrecy as long as possible. So we're not even 2 minutes before the official announcement, and I decided to tell the crew what it is. And there was a moment, I'm laughing at myself now. There was a moment because I never wrote it. I didn't want to write it down on a piece of paper because I didn't want somebody to see on my paper what it was. So I'm like, did Bob tell me the B team or the C team? So I had that moment of pure horror for about 30 seconds. And I said, no, it was the B team. It's the B team. Okay, everybody, it's the B team. And then that's what it was. And
the whole concept was that unveiling of the team became something that we all decided to work on. It was something that became a tradition from 98, 2002, 2006, all the way to Vancouver in 2010.